is Andre Coelho, and today we're going to be brewing some beer, specifically a Saison from Blackstone Valley Brewing Supplies. So we have the malt extract. This is powdered liquid, candy sugar. It's light, it's rock sugar. Some hops, Mount Hood, German, Brew's Gold. We also have some, it's like an orange peel that's dried, Irish moss. This is, these are our grains. We're going to use these to get some flavor, also a little bit of sugar out of it, to, as some malt. This is priming sugar for bottling, gives us our carbonation, and our yeast. Those are our major ingredients. Alright, so now we're going to sanitize. That's the first thing you have to do to get this beer so there's no contamination in it. We're using this, it's called Be Bright. They also have a product called Star Sand. It's like, almost like an OxyClean. So what we do is we take, I'm only mixing a little bit because I don't really need that much. So you just take a little bit of this. This happens to be a half tablespoon, I'm sorry. So I don't really need that much because I'm only mixing a slight amount of water. This is my the bucket I'm going to use to ferment the beer in. So I put that in here, and I pretty much just add some hot water. Whatever is going to come in contact with the beer. So this is the airlock. So this lets air out of the bottling container during the brewing process. I'll probably sanitize my measuring tools. I don't know if I'll need them, but better safe than sorry. Sanitize my strainer that I use to strain the brew, the wort, and anything else that comes in contact, like the spoon. So now we're going to add the grains into our muslin bag. This is just like a cheesecloth kind of material. So we'll pour this in here. Try not to make too much of a mess. It's going to make a mess on the counter, but I'm going to take this, put a knot in it, and put it inside of our brew pot. This brew pot, it's just porcelain coated pot for, a lobster pot pretty much, but it's porcelain coated. It holds almost 8 gallons of water. It's like 7 point something. So now we're going to add 2 gallons of water to this. Start our pot on, I have a huge burner here that'll get this boiling in about 3 minutes. The stove's pretty heavy duty, but we'll get 2 gallons of water going in here. We're gonna get it nice and hot to extract our flavor and some of the sugars from this. Had these grains steeping in the brew pot here for about 10 to 15 minutes now. Let me shut that alarm off. I like to stick it in my strainer above the pot. That way it naturally drains. You don't want to squeeze it because then you'll get some nasty tannins from the grain and it won't taste as good. Now we're going to add the malt extract. I have be careful, this stuff's sticky. I have a can. I like to add the liquid first. That way there's more room for it to melt into the liquid. It's harder to get the liquid extract dissolved. Now we're going to add the extra light malt extract. This is a 3-pound container. Again, the malt is it's going to give us the sugars needed to feed the yeast, and the yeast will leave behind the alcohol and also some flavor. So there's a lot of ways to do this, but this candy sugar, what I'm going to do is I'm actually putting it into some water that I poured from a bottle in here. I'm going to get it to a boil, dissolve it in there, and add a little bit throughout the whole process of the brewing process. We have the wort starting to boil, so now we're going to add our our hops to the brew. In this recipe, it calls for 1 ounce of German Brewer's Gold. This is pelletized. Just sprinkle it in there and get this up to a full boil. "45 minutes has passed since we added the bittering hops. Now we're going to add half an ounce of our flavoring hops, and we'll add that now. And also some Irish moss, and the orange peel. I'll go ahead and mix that in here. Get some of this hops off the edge here. Get that in there good. I'll get it covered up and back to boil for another 10 minutes. And then we'll add our final hops. I've dissolved our candy sugar into the water here. That's pretty specific to Saison. It just adds a little bit of dryness to the final taste. So I've dissolved it into a half gallon of water. I'm gonna add half of this now, and then I'll add the second half when we're done. So we're at the 55-minute mark, and we're gonna add the last half an ounce of our the aroma hops. It's the same hops we use for flavoring, but it's for aroma. And we're going to add the last of the dissolved candy sugar. And I'm going to get this boiling a little bit, maybe for another minute. I'm going to turn it off the heat, and we're going to chill it. Wort is completely done. Now I'm going to remove it and put it into the ice bath. I have like a plastic tote here that's full of ice and water. This should bring the sweet wort down to the correct temperature. I'll check that with a digital thermometer in a few minutes to make sure that we're at the right temperature. I started off with 2 gallons. I added a half gallon of water with the sugar mix, and I've already added another couple gallons, so this will bring us up to around the 5-gallon mark, which is where we want to be. What it'll also do is it's going to cool down our wort. I just took a measurement, and we're at 100 degrees, so I'm going to add about half of this. And then we'll take a final measurement. Once we get around 70, we'll add the yeast, and we'll get it into the primary. And now I'm going to strain it. This will add a little bit more oxygen to the brew and also clean it out now. And we'll just do a final reading on the thermometer. Once it calibrates, there we go. And we are at 76.9 degrees right now. Now that I have it on the counter, you can see with the light, we're just below the 5-gallon mark. So what we want to do is get this up to 5 gallons, and I have some water here. This is it's water that we have from the store. It comes in a sealed container. Let's get up to 5 gallons, right about there. We'll get our final reading. And we are at 73.5 degrees, 70 to 74 degrees. It's fluctuating there. So we're right in the range. 70 to 75 is perfect for the yeast. This is our yeast. This is a Saison to it ale yeast. Just pour the whole thing in there. We have it down to room temperature. We'll pour it in and mix it up from there, and this stuff should go crazy in about 5 to 12 hours. It should start churning. In the morning, you probably wake up and see some churning. The cap's on. Make sure it's perfectly sealed so that no contaminants can get in. We've put this, which is called an airlock, on top and filled it up to the water line with sanitizer. This will allow any oxygen that's on top to come out the top. Actually, you can see it just bubbled just now. That'll release, but it won't let any air go back in. So eventually the CO2 will be generated from the yeast and it'll bubble out just like you saw. We've filled this bucket up to about the 3-gallon mark with our original wort, and I've added more water to the top to make it come to the 5-gallon mark, and that's generally where we want to be with the recipe we had. So it's topped off. It's at about 72 degrees right now. We've added the yeast, and I took a sample before the yeast of some of the brew. You can get a nice amber color to it. And we did a reading with the hydrometer. It's supposed to read 0.065, and it's exactly where it's reading at. So we did this perfect. It's exactly what the recipe says. So hopefully all things going well. Part 2, we should be able to show you the bottling process.